Sir, she's too weak to beg. Rain pounded against the city streets, blurring the world into streaks of gray and gold under the flickering streetlights. A black limousine slowed to a halt in the middle of an alley, its headlights slicing through the darkness. A little girl, no older than 8, stood barefoot in the cold rain. Her hair was plastered to her cheeks, and in her trembling hands she clutched a piece of soggy bread. She stepped forward as the tinted window slid down, revealing a sharply dressed man inside, the kind whose presence alone commanded attention. Sir, her voice wavered, almost swallowed by the storm. She's too weak to beg anymore. The man's brows furrowed. Who? The little girl's lips quivered as she pointed toward a rusty old trunk lying near a pile of trash bags. The man's driver got out, unlatched the trunk, and opened it. Inside was a woman. Her skin was pale, her body frail, and her breathing shallow. Her wrists were bruised, her lips dry and cracked. Yet even in her weakness, her face carried a fragile beauty, one that seemed strangely familiar to the man. The CEO, Adrian Cole, froze. Memories he had locked away years ago clawed to the surface. Adrian Cole was known in the business world as ruthless, unshakable, and incapable of sentiment. Born in poverty, he had clawed his way to the top, convinced that kindness was a luxury he could no longer afford. But that night, standing in the rain, he felt something stir inside him, something he thought had died long ago. The girl's name was Mia. The woman was her mother, Elena. Adrian learned that Elena had once been a gifted pianist who dreamed of playing on the world's grandest stages. But life had not been kind. Her husband had abandoned her, debt collectors had hounded her, and eventually, illness had stolen the strength from her hands. When she could no longer work, she and Mia ended up on the streets. They survived on scraps, until a cruel man, claiming to help them, locked Elena in that trunk to force Mia to beg. Adrian could have walked away. It wasn't his problem, but something about the way Mia shielded her mother's frail body from the rain cut through his armor. He had the driver carry Elena into the limousine, wrapping her in his own suit jacket. Mia sat close, holding her mother's hand as if keeping her tethered to life. At the hospital, the doctors said Elena's condition was critical: malnutrition, severe dehydration, and pneumonia. "Why did you help us?" Mia asked, her big eyes searching his face. Adrian hesitated. "Because, once, someone helped me when I was too weak to stand." And in that moment, flashes of his own childhood returned: his mother, sick and struggling, him begging on the streets, and the stranger who gave him a second chance. A stranger he never saw again. Adrian paid for Elena's treatment, but he didn't stop there. He moved Mia and her mother into a warm apartment and made sure they had food and clothes. Mia, shy at first, began to laugh again. She drew pictures and taped them to Adrian's office walls. Elena, though weak, began to play the piano in the apartment lobby, drawing small crowds who were moved to tears by her music. But life wasn't done testing them. One night, Elena collapsed. The doctors said she needed surgery, an expensive one, with no guarantee she'd survive. Adrian sat in his car outside the hospital, staring at the rain as it hit the windshield. His mind battled between logic and emotion. But Mia's tearful voice replayed in his head: "She's too weak to beg anymore." Adrian signed the consent forms. The surgery was long. Hours crawled by. Mia held his hand, her small fingers cold and shaking. "If my mommy doesn't make it, will you still take care of me?" She whispered. Adrian's throat tightened. "She's going to make it," he said, but his own voice trembled. The surgery was a success. Elena woke up weak but smiling, her hand finding Mia's. Adrian felt a wave of relief he hadn't known he was capable of. Months later, Elena regained enough strength to perform at a charity gala, one Adrian organized. She played the same song she had once dreamed of performing on the world stage. The audience rose in a standing ovation, many moved to tears. After the performance, Adrian introduced her. "This is the woman who reminded me that the greatest wealth a man can have is not in his bank account, but in his heart." Years passed. Mia grew into a confident young woman, following in her mother's footsteps in music. Adrian, once a man who thought love was a distraction, found himself a part of a family he never expected to have. The memory of that rainy night never faded: the little girl in the storm, the trunk, the woman too weak to beg. Sometimes, Adrian would sit quietly and think of the stranger who once helped him as a boy. Though he never found that person, he hoped they knew their kindness had not died. It had simply been passed on. And now, It lived on in Mia, Elena, and him. Greater than, one act of kindness may seem small, but it can ripple through lifetimes. You may never see the full reach of your compassion, but somewhere, someone's entire world